ladies and gentlemen.
Googan Squad is having their biggest sale
of the year, fishing Black Friday.
Biggest sale of the year.
The sale will be going from April 29th to May 1st.
At GooganSquad.com, we're doing
20% off rods and storage, 30% off base, 40% off apparel.
Plus, you can stack my promo code OneRod
to take an additional 10% off your purchase
from April 29th through May 1st.
Check it right now on GooganSquad.com.
I guess every sport has a way of honoring its best athletes. Football has its all-pro team. Baseball has the all-star game. In the fishing world, we have a way too. The Bassmasters Club.
Levels good.
Fort Worth, Texas, Chris Salve.
I've came close so many times, ready to be in that number one spot.
My big chance to get on. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, North Carolina.
Let's have a nice 1975 Bassmasters Classic.
I'm Chris Zaldane, and I'm a professional bass fisherman. My childhood was very outdoorsy. When my older brother and younger brother would, stay inside, play Nintendo at the time, I was the kid that would go out in the backyard and flip over rocks and look for lizards and look for snakes and catch frogs and put them in aquariums. And it wasn't until I was about 10 years old or 11 years old when a neighbor and I just, went into his garage, opened up this old, smelly, stinky tackle box, and picked up just a blue rubber worm. And I remember taking that rubber worm about 11 years old and going down to Coyote Creek, just a quarter mile from the house there, and you could literally cast across this creek. It was so small. And I vividly remember, just taking this blue rubber worm with a little curl tail on it and casting across this creek, and it got hung on this branch, and it was only 10 or 15 feet away from me, but it got hung on this branch. I'm like, oh, that's a bad cast. It's sitting there on top of the surface there on this branch, and as I'm shaking it off of there and I'm trying to pull it off, like a 2-pound bass comes up and eats it right off the branch. And at that moment, I knew, man, these creatures are cool. So instead of snakes and frogs and lizards, I started chasing bass. I've always been a competitive person. All through my childhood, I've always been real competitive with sports. Played hockey for 11 years, and I always try to be the fastest guy on the ice. I'd try to be, the guy. And, after being alternate captain and captains all through my teams throughout the years, I was a teenager, probably 15, 16 years old, when I stopped growing vertically, and I started thinking about alternate ways of income and an alternate profession. So instead of, pursuing a hockey career, I just remember watching, tournament bass fishing on Saturday mornings, and man, these guys are actually making a living tournament bass fishing. And, once I just kind of, thought, hey, let's try converging this kind of passion for the outdoors and the love of fishing and try to make it, a profession or overall lifestyle. At 15, 16 years old, I was all in. All right, it is dark. It is early. It is rehearsal day for a big old tournament going on in Lake Hartwell, South Carolina. So it is a classic week. We've already participated in 3 practice days, 2 off days. Now we're back on for practice this morning. So we're gonna just kind of do a rehearsal walkthrough of how, you know, the weigh-ins, the takeoff, and we get 8 hours of fishing today. So during this classic week, there's nothing plain or simple about it. It's always go, go, go. But this is what we live for, man. This is it's a really exciting week, and the fish are biting, so it's gonna be fun. And I love this time of year because it's cold in the mornings. I'm wearing shorts and a performance hoodie underneath this jacket, but I'm just gonna layer up. And that's the thing about springtime fishing. It's cool in the mornings. And when it warms up throughout the day, those fish just continue to move shallower and shallower. So it's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a good week. Springtime fishing, my favorite. You know, when I went through the final day of practice, we went through rehearsal there, and they called boat number 27. That's my boat here. Oh, I'm on the other side? 27, all right, thank you. Yeah, I got my stuff together. I don't even know what boat number I am. That's the local hero right there, the local guy. I know the feeling, because that was me last year in Fort Worth. There's pressure. I asked him if he had any pressure. He's like, nah, he's got pressure on. What boat number am I? He said it, I already forgot. And since I'm on this side, I guess it's 3 o'clock. Due back in at 3? 3 o'clock. Due back in at 3, so they do a live well check, kill switch check, and then a light check, which we have on. So. Even in rehearsal, I mean, this feeling is so awesome, man. Idling out, having them call your name.
A 2-time Bassmaster winner this Salvator's one, Chris Salvator.
There's 55 contestants total, so I'm about halfway through, you know, the boat launch sequence. I decided just to kind of stay local, and I just went right around the corner right after we blasted off there, and man, you know, I look back and Cam, the camera guy's with me, and we're just looking at the back of this creek, 53-degree water, and these bass are busted on herring. And I'm just like, waypoint, that's a spot we should start on once the tournament comes around. So both spotted bass and largemouth bass are gonna play during the classic here, but I'm gonna accidentally catch a few spots, because if I'm gonna win this thing, I'm gonna win it with 15 largemouth, 5 big largemouth a day. Stuff's good right here too. These little chunk rock to sand transitions, that's always money as well. A Humminbird live technology, it shows you exactly what's down there real time. 360-degree imaging shows you 360 degrees around the boat, and then just simple mapping and 2D sonar. At the very least, you need this. You need to know where you're at in relation to the lake and showing the contour lines. You don't really need all this to catch fish. It helps, but definitely a map, because it helps you duplicate the pattern. So you hear that a lot, patterning. I've developed a pattern over the last few days. The docks have to be docks that are in the real short guts, you know, just the short pockets. If you get too far back in the weeds, if you get too far back in those creeks, you don't get the bites. They have to be little short pockets like this. The only way to know that is by using your map. So that's the pattern. That's what we're gonna run with. We're not gonna fish with live hooks. Maybe a little bit later today once we've kind of established, but these bigger swim baits like this, they'll doink it. They hit it so hard, like, oh, that's a fish. You just hit a waypoint and come back during the tournament. One of the things I like to do is pre-rig my lunker logs. You know, I just grab a 5-inch and green pumpkin blue like that and pre-rig the O-rings on there. That way I could just kind of simply, during a tournament, run my hook through there and it's good to go. I'll fish it weightless and just kind of shimmies down, and it's really good on those docks like that. I just saw a nice spotted bass follow it out and just want to see if, you know, it's in the mood for a worm instead of a swim bait. But just a real simple setup there. The thing about these docks is there's these cables all over, and if you skip over the cable, then you're going to lose that fish 100% of the time if he bites. You got to be real tactical. You got to have a lot of accuracy skipping underneath these cables. Visualize the bite. Once you get the bite, you got to worry about getting them out of there. I honestly think that swim bait just gives them more interest. Like the worm is just a little too slow right now, I think. I have to pick up the saucy swimmer. That's a giant ball of blueback herring pushed in this pocket right here. I've got a jerkbait on, but it's not getting deep enough, so I'll pick up a saucy swimmer, the 3/8 or 1/4 ounce head, and just slow roll it through there. Look at that right there is a bass chasing through that bait. We saw a couple bust right there too. 53-degree water and they're busting bait. Rig up a little 1/4 ounce head. There's no wind, so I'm gonna go with 3.3. A little bit of chartreuse here. Take care of those tails. It's a big deal to keep those tails in those clamshells like that. This is a sexy shimmer color. I think it'll look pretty good with the low light we have. I'm actually gonna cut a little bit off his head here. And what this does is it allows the ball head to sit flush right on his nose. In this clear water, those little details matter, man. Trust me, they do. So I like it when there's no gap between the nose of the saucy swimmer and the back of the jig head there. So it just sits real nice and flush. I mean, that is just beauty. Just super pretty. And in this real clear water, that small 1/0 hook, I mean, that is huge. All right, let's try to catch one. Yeah, so I established this really sick pattern. And of course, patterns are duplicating certain scenarios or certain lures, and that's how you win day after day after day. That's how you become consistent, when you recognize these patterns. And I am on a really solid pattern here this week. Spotted bass on a saucy swimmer. I mean, you can throw a limit in the boat real quick if you come here on Friday. Look at, like, gone. That's awesome. Spotted bass, but there could easily be a 5-pound largemouth underneath these things. I mean, like, literally busted, dude. Like it's fall. Oh gosh, is that a good one? Largemouth. Oh, that's a lot of fun. Come on up here. Dude, you could come right here in 2 days and, you know, catch 13 pounds and then go throw a big swim bait the rest of the day. But it never fails in this deep, clear water like this. Just a simple ball-headed jig with a 3.3 saucy. And catch everything that swims down there. In this clear water, they could be so picky, and this lake is known for like an underspin type jig head. So I'll try underspin style just to see. I mean, I'm not gonna hurt this. I mean, there's actually schooling, but they're like shying away from the regular jig head, so it's a good opportunity. You know fish are there. I mean, I'll stick a few more. I just want to see what lure is working the best. I know the saucy swimmer works, but it's really head related, which head they prefer best. Let's see if they'll doink this at all. Oh my gosh, did that really happen? Let's try to get a bite on it anyway. Yikes. How about that? 3.8 saucy. It's a good one to have. Alright, so we figured out how to get those bigger largemouth to bite underneath those schools of spots. So let's go try to imitate that today. I had a big spot follow my swim bait out and along the front of that dock, and you always know a good dock when there's a bass boat moored in it, because he's probably got brush all over this, but I had a big spot follow it, and then I made this cast down here, and this one crushed it, and that one's almost 3 pounds, so it's a nice one. Beautiful, just Carolinian spotted bass. Look at the spots on this thing. Let me get this out of his mouth here. Crushed it. Look at the spots on that thing. Just a gorgeous spotted bass. I've been doing this professional bass fishing thing and tournament, competitive bass fishing thing for 10 years now. Time has flown by, and I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but I've also become very successful along the way. We can't do this without sponsors. You look at other sports like professional racing, golf, all of those single competitors have teams, whether it's a sponsor, whether it's family. I think it's just so awesome to be almost a free agent along those 10 years and getting to this point, hooking up with both the Googan Squad guys and some of my other sponsors. I'm in a real comfortable place right now. And in this small fishing outdoors industry, it's real important not to burn bridges. So I've gotten to this point, maybe burned maybe a bridge or two, but those bridges I won't ever look back on, won't ever have to cross them again. And it's 2022. I hooked up with the Googan Squad boys, and there's no looking back. It is forward, onward and upward from here on out. If there's one piece of advice I'd give to an aspiring professional touring bass angler, it's to take it one step at a time. Don't ever try to, don't ever try to skip a few steps. Don't ever try to just slap logos on your boat and say, "Oh, I'm sponsored. I'm here to compete." It's very important to take it one step at a time. Take it from the high school level to the college level, or whatever it might be, to the pro-am level, to a co-angler level, kayakers, doesn't matter. Just take it one step at a time. Work hard at it, and before you know it, you're on the big stage.
Just